Welcome to part 4 of my YZ426 project. We've had a few bumps along the way, but I now have a running and titled Yamaha 426 dirt bike. Just got a few more bugs to work out, or so I hope. I noticed when I started it last time, it ran fairly well, but it had a couple of leaks. It had a water leak right out of this hole right here, which is the weep hole for the water pump impeller, which means there's a bad seal in there. And it also had an oil leak, which you can still see the remnants of right here. It originates here, and then the oil kind of travels down the case and ends up on the ground. And I can tell that the gasket is torn there. I don't know if it's just installed improperly or what caused it, but in any case, I need to remove this cover to see what's going on. This water pump has another seal that separates the engine coolant from the engine oil. I'm not sure if that seal is good or not. One way to tell is when I drain the oil here in a moment. If the oil has water in it, that's a good indication that the seal behind here is bad as well. So let's get started by draining the oil out of this bike. I took out the plug, and that oil looks awfully gray to me, which means there's probably water in there. So I think what I'll do is, when I have this case off, I'll just replace both seals in this water pump just for good measure. I've drained the engine oil, and the next thing I'm going to do is remove the Kickstarter. Looks like a 12mm bolt. Kickstarter's off. I think the next thing I'll take off is this brake pedal. It's a Allen wrench bolt right here that I need to remove. I got the brake pedal bolt out, and I'll just let it hang out right there. Next, I think I'll remove these bolts that secure this water pump cover to the case. They're an 8mm. I've placed a pan underneath here because some coolant might come out. I haven't drained the coolant yet. Two-pan, not toucan, and not toupee. Toupee or not toupee. So I'll just remove these. I noticed that the bolt that goes here where this water is leaking out is different from the others in that it has a copper washer. So be sure that when you put it back together, you put that washer in the same place, because that seals the water from leaking out of that spot. I've loosened up this cover and collected a deluge of rust-colored water. Next, I will take this bolt out so I can remove this coolant pipe from the cover. Now I should be able to remove this cover. Now I'm going to remove this oil line. I'll also remove this bolt that holds this oil line. Here's a tip. Get the pan out of the way as soon as possible. I've already dropped my socket wrench in it once. I've now removed all of the bolts that secure the case to the engine. So now it's loose. Just need to pull it off. And here's what it looks like with that cover removed. Came off really easily. I have a gasket here which goes around the whole perimeter of that case, and I also have like a rubber washer, but then behind here I also have a rubber washer. So I'm thinking this one might actually be extraneous, not supposed to be there. There's no place for it really here. I can see the outline of that little O-ring that's still in there, but oh well, I'll look at the parts diagram and see what it looks like. One other negative thing that I noticed is this. If I take the clutch, look how that wiggles. See how sloppy that is? I'm thinking this clutch hub might be loose on the shaft back there, so I'm going to go ahead and back all these off and see what's going on behind there before I go any farther. I've got the impeller removed. The shaft should just press out of the case, and the two seals that need to be replaced are right here, and then there's one behind it too. I've got the shaft out, and it definitely doesn't look the greatest. I doubt if a new seal would even seal that off. So I think what I'll do is clean it up with some steel wool and see how it comes out. I started to clean up this shaft, and I noticed it's got some pretty big pits in it. So I don't think I'm going to be reusing it. I think I'll just buy a new shaft and 2 new seals. But in the meantime, I need to figure out why my clutch is so sloppy. I don't think it's supposed to do this. When I pull the lever, see that? See how loose that is in there? I think the nut behind here is loose, so I think I'll tear into that next. I've got the clutch springs off, so let's see what lies beneath here. I don't think that this is within factory tolerances. That's pretty loose. So I think I'll take all this off and see if there's any damage, and hopefully there's not, and I can just tighten this nut back down and be back in business. That's pretty amazing. Look how the little washer here is worn into the aluminum with time. I took off this hub, and it looks like I'm going to have to add that to my list of parts. See how loose that is in there? I don't think that's supposed to be that way. So I think I'm at a standstill for now. I'll just pack all this stuff up, clean it up, put it in bags, and wait for some parts to arrive. Thanks for watching.